Howdy folks, hope you're all having a good one, and welcome back to World of Warships with Rear Admiral Jingles. Oh, hang on a minute, what's going on with those two pink guys on the team list here? Oh, that's a bit of a red flag. I mean, it used to be relatively easy to get coloured pink for team damage in this game, but then they removed team damage, so now you have to work particularly hard at being a dick in order to have yourself turn pink. Although, you know, sometimes it's still not your fault, so if you find yourself starting a battle with pink teammates like that, treat them with caution, but give them the benefit of the doubt. Anyway, so, what's all this about? We are down here at Tier 4, although it is a Tier 5 battle, and it's a standard battle, not domination. Well, this is Murphium in the Japanese Tier 4 light cruiser, the Yubari. Used to be one of my favourite cruisers in the game. Used to be. I'll explain why it's no longer in a moment. For now, however, what you're seeing is a Tier 4 light cruiser division in a Tier 5 standard battle here on the straight map, where the teams start off split into two task forces, I suppose you'd call them. One at the north, one at the south. So the friendly base is up there to the north, the enemy base is down here to the south. And what Murphium is doing in his division of 3 with two other Tier 4 light cruisers, a Phoenix and a Karlsruhe, these are basically friends of his who are either new to the game or who are coming back after an extended absence, and he's basically just showing them the ropes. First enemy contact, first shots fired. Oh, hang on a minute, what's that? Yes, this thing only has 2 gun turrets. Two guns per turret. 4 guns in total. You know how everybody basically thinks that the Auber is kind of weak at Tier 6 because it's a cruiser with only 6 guns? The Yubari wishes it had 6 guns. They're your standard Japanese low-tierish light cruiser armament. 140mm guns in... Ooh, wow. Good job, Iron Duke. First blood to you. Bitch slapped that De Ruyter out of existence. Wow. Well, that's what happens, especially down here at Tier 4 to 5 when you're in a cruiser and you expose broadside to a battleship. I thought the T-22 was being a bit brave here. I mean, they can clearly see him, but he's rushing in to get those torpedoes away. Actually, I mean, it cost him half of his health, but the T-22 is actually going to do quite well. At least, according to the scoreboard at the end of this battle. What was I talking about? Oh, yes, the Yubari. So, Murphy's actually alright here as long as that T-22's alive and everybody else is still shooting at him. Even though he is spotted, he is not the subject of everybody's attention. At least not for now. Oh, the Queen Mary. So that's the 2 pink players on the team, the Iron Duke and the Queen Mary. And they're responsible for the team's first 2 kills. Like I said. Treat pink players with caution, but give them the benefit of the doubt. Oh look, the T-22 spotted the Isakazi. Not a lot that anybody can do about him at the moment, tucked in behind the armour like that. Anyway, the Yubari. You don't see a lot of them these days. They were originally available as part of a pre-release, I mean, that's how long it's been around, a pre-release bundle for World of Warships that included 3 ships. Oh, Murphium's just lost his teammate in the Phoenix. The 3 ships included the Tier 5 Russian destroyer, the Gremyashchy. Still a pretty good ship, but again, another ship you don't see very often. The Tier 7 American destroyer, the Sims, that you do see. Ooh, shit, yeah, he just took a big hit there. Or several big hits from somebody's high explosive. Yeah, now that the T-22's made good his escape, people are starting to switch their fire to Murphium here. And this ship does not have any armour. It does, however, have... In fact, I think this is the lowest tier Japanese cruiser to be on with 610mm torpedoes. They are big, they are pretty fast, but they only have a 6km range. Now you notice that he aimed straight at the Corbeil over there. Which means that these 4 torpedoes, if they're going to have the slightest chance of hitting that thing, it will have to not adjust its course or speed for the next minute or so. Let's see how that goes, shall we? Yeah. Okay, well, there's his first kill. What were we talking about? Oh yes, the pre-release bundle that this ship was available in. The second ship in the bundle was the Sims, the American Tier 7 destroyer, which you do still see fairly often. At the time, it was absolutely amazing. It was the first real gunboat in the American destroyer line, with blistering rate of fire and stupidly fast-turning turrets, and torpedoes that, well, at the time were all right. And then, of course, you had this, the Yubari. What made the Yubari special? It certainly wasn't its guns, it only has 4 of them. It wasn't really its torpedoes, because they only have a 6-kilometer range. And while the Yubari is pretty stealthy with a surface detection range of 9.6 kilometers, that's still 3.6 kilometers more than the range of your torpedoes. And with basically no armor and not a lot of health, you didn't really want to be doing torpedo runs in this thing if you could possibly avoid it. What made the Yubari good? Its unique selling point was that it had ferociously good, for Tier 4, anti-aircraft fire. Hell, this ship had better anti-aircraft fire than most Tier 5s and some Tier 6s. And it was all backed up with the defensive fire anti-aircraft consumable, which it still has, which meant that this ship could pose a significant no-fly zone threat to... Oh shit, he's getting shot at by a lot of ships here. He might want to... yeah. Oh, and the Omaha's taking an interest in him. That's really bad. Burns the damage control there to take care of the fires. He's down to half health. And this thing only has 20,000 health to begin with. It's a Kazi torpedoes there. Double launcher. Yeah, it's, I think, definitely time to call it quits and get the hell out of here. Of course, that would involve stopping shooting and going undetected. And with his engine knocked out, that's going to be a lot easier said than done. Okay, the Omaha's dead. Good. And the Svetlana looks like he's had enough as well. Here's Murphium's problem, however. That last salvo from the Omaha set another fire, and with his damage control on cooldown, there's not a lot you can do about it. Hell, even the Isakazi's shooting at him, but he has managed to go undetected. Oh, no, he's spotted again. Fire's about to die, and that leaves him on 500 health. He's undetected again, though. And of course, you know, you don't have a heal at Tier 4, so that 500 health is all he's ever going to have. Back to that defensive anti-aircraft fire consumable, however, and this ship's entire reason for existing. It's ferocious anti-aircraft firepower. Easily the best at Tier 4, better than most Tier 5s, and even better than some Tier 6s. And that can be a bit of a problem, because that basically means that the Yubari is essentially a one-trick pony. It's all about its anti-aircraft firepower. It's certainly not its guns. Its torpedoes are all right, but they're far too short range to be much use most of the time. It doesn't have any health, it doesn't have any armor, but it does have great AA. Or it did have great AA. And then there was the carrier rework. And it's, yeah. Which basically rendered all AA in the game more or less completely ineffective. Although not really for the Yubari, because the thing about Tier 4 carriers, the only thing that really makes them dangerous, it's not really that their aircraft are especially potent. They're not. They're very fragile, they're very slow, they're very easy to shoot down. But what makes Tier 4 carriers dangerous is that they basically have no opposition. Oh, he's managed to get another fire on the Orion, and his damage control is on cooldown. This could be the end of the Orion. Oh, hello. It's a Kazi torpedoes. You'll note, Morris... Ooh, that was close. You'll know what Murphium's doing here, though. Oh, and he's got the Orion. Nice. There's his second kill. He's basically using island cover here to keep him safe and allow himself to keep... Okay. It's a Kazi. He's only got 500 health. Fire your guns. It's a Kazi. Fire your guns. The Isakazi didn't fire his guns. The Isakazi would have won this match if he'd fired his guns, but he chose to use the torpedoes instead. Oh well, never mind. Japanese destroyer captains, huh? Anyway, yeah. The thing that makes Tier 4 carriers dangerous is they basically have no opposition, because the kind of things that they're going to face, don't forget at Tier 4 you get protected matchmaking, you only have a 1-tier matchmaking spread, so the kind of things that Tier 4 carriers are going to face, Tiers 3, 4 and 5, usually either have crap AA, or in some cases none whatsoever, so they're completely defenseless against aircraft. The Yubari, however, has some teeth in that department, even after the carrier rework. Although it's still nowhere near as good as it used to be. Oh, nice shooting Texas. In fact, just to illustrate how far the Yubari has actually fallen since the aircraft carrier rework, let me just read you a quote direct from its own World of Warships wiki page. Remember, this is the ship that was all about the anti-aircraft firepower. A surprising feature of the ship is Yubari's anti-aircraft capability. While it can hardly be said to be good, it is the best of any Tier 4 cruiser save Guisano, and better than most Tier 5s. In addition to her base AA firepower, she equips defensive AA fire for a couple of extra punches, although it still won't prevent a persistent carrier from dropping you once, or even twice. She is among the fastest and most manoeuvrable of the Tier 4 cruisers, good for dodging. So, just to summarise that and put that into perspective for you, a ship that used to be a no-fly zone for enemy aircraft carriers at Tier 4 now has to just dodge. Yes, really. Oh, how the mighty have fallen. And when you put that ship into a match where there isn't even an enemy carrier, well, basically the Yubari is a one-trick pony that no longer has a trick. Meanwhile, with his 500 health still intact, and his lone surviving teammate on similarly low health, division mate, on similarly low health, Murphyum is praying that the Texas over there is going to take care of that Kirov for them, because the enemy team are capping, and so is he. And the Pink Iron Duke up to the north, despite his dubious status, also key to a successful outcome in this battle, must reset the ship's capping, the friendly base up to the north. Oh, that Kirov. Tier 5 Russian cruiser. Oh, he's not quite close enough to spot Murphyum, but he is probably close enough to spot his division mate in the Karlsruhe, who is sailing closer to the Kirov rather than further away, as Murphyum's doing. So, yep, he sees him, he starts shooting. This is probably going to be a kill. At the very least, it's going to be a cap reset, and it's a kill. And then two things happen on both teams that are going to put the outcome of this match in severe doubt. Murphyum starts shooting as well. Now, this is... let's be generous and call this a brave decision. Because he just has to get hit once and he's dead. This is an awful risk. I honestly would not have done this, but, well, he's the one playing. He's working the throttle and the rudder. This is a pretty fast and manoeuvrable cruiser. But the Kirov only has to get lucky once and Murphyum's dead. Oh, wow. Okay, well... if it's stupid, but it works. I personally wouldn't have done that. I mean, yeah, I don't know. He's running out of cap circle to hide in. But in order for the Kirov to actually spot him, if he hadn't started shooting, he would have had to come around the corner of that island and been subjected to fire from the Texas. The other dumb thing that happened, if you have a look at the map, up to the north there, the enemy team would probably have already won, but the Congo decided to choose violence and left the cap circle to go after the Iron Duke. And they're both now blazing away at each other's broadside. On the bright side, the Iron Duke did get the Congo, but then the Oklahoma finished off the Iron Duke. The Iron Duke was able to get some capture progress reset assisted, it has to be admitted, by the Congo, who for some baffling reason chose to completely abandon capping and chase after him instead. But while the Kirov didn't actually score a direct hit on Murphyum, one of his last shots was so close that it splashed him without actually causing any damage, but resetting his capture progress. However, here comes the Texas. I saw the Texas heading this way. I thought there was no way he was ever going to get to this cap circle in time to actually be of any use. But he might just make it. It is going to be incredibly close, however. The Texas, crawling along there at 20.5 knots, has actually made it into the cap circle, and without his shots at the Kirov would absolutely have killed Murphyum. And thanks to the Texas's timely arrival, and of course the enemy Congo abandoning the cap to go chasing after the Iron Duke, despite the fact that the enemy team were technically ahead on points, that is an incredibly close victory. I mean, I haven't timed it, but it looks like there was less than a second to go before the enemy team won by capping themselves. So that was Murphium in the Yubari. And in fact, if you look at the post-battle results, that victory was pretty much all down to Murphium, the Pink Iron Duke, and Johnny-come-lately in the Yellow Rose of Texas. I thought, especially when Murphium opened up on that Kirov when he technically didn't really need to, that this was going to be an episode of A Game of Throws, but no, we're good, we're good. If it's stupid but it works, it ain't stupid. So Murphium in the, well, what used to be one of my favourite tier 4 cruisers in the game, which sadly got completely defanged and turned into a one-trick pony without a trick after the aircraft carrier rework. And the fact that he did as well as this in a ship as, let's face it, as bad as the Yubari now is pretty impressive. Hope you enjoyed it, and as always, take care, and I'll catch you next time.